Howdy, everybody. We are live and we are in session, and this is Maple Syrup. I know last week we weren't here because we had a whole bunch of technical difficulties. This week, I don't
We're good.
know. It's like perfect. I got here a little bit late, and Galen was waiting for us, and Hafiz was there, and it's like, hey, let's go. And so here we are. We wasted no time to bring the show to you live. So welcome everybody. Hey, Galen, how's it going, buddy?
Doing well. Hey, Sen. Hey, Hafiz. Hi, Maple Syrup.
And Hafiz, how are you this week?
I'm doing good. I'm recouped from Breakout Con. So Galen, we had a big board game conference. Sen did back to back. He flew to the other side of the country, did one, flew back here, did another, led two panels.
And boy, are my arms tired.
Yeah, I tried to join one of his, and the moment I walked in, okay, story time for
Galen now.
Yeah, story time for everyone else, I guess.
Yeah.
Fire alarm goes off the moment I come up to be like, Sen, I'm super excited to be part of your listen to your panel. And I think it turned off the moment that I decided to give up and just walk out.
The alarm did probably. It was like a good 10 minutes into the panel. Oh, there's Galen. See,
Okay.
I don't know. Something's happening because you dropped too, so I don't know if it's you. Now we can't blame
we'll
you, which is
no.
Yeah, normally we like blaming Hafiz, but it's not. So Galen also dropped. I don't know what happened there. Anyway,
I could see and hear you guys the whole time. I don't know what happened either. But
oh, okay.
We can blame it on gremlins, I think.
Yes, something is weird. Something's going on. I'll be the next one to drop, so that's the order it goes in.
Okay.
Deadpan's watching. Good to see you, Deadpan. Nice to see you again. So that means at least somebody's in the feed, which means we are transmitting, which is a good thing. Okay, so we're going. Hafiz was just saying that I was at Breakout Con and at TCTC, which is all the way in Vancouver. And Galen, you're actually relatively close to us, aren't you, physically?
Yeah, I mean, not relatively, sure. Syracuse, New York, so kind of dead center of New York State. You know, not all that far from the Canadian border.
So how come you weren't at Breakout? I'm just asking, bro.
I gotta get my passport back in order. I gotta.
That's
on my to-do list this spring. But I'm limited in terms of the number of conventions I can do. It's more of a time thing than anything else. So I tend to, right now on the docket, I always do Gen Con. I always do PAX Unplugged. I always do the local QSCon, and then there goes Hafiz. He was out of order. And
see, something's up. Something is up.
Hey, TK, good to see you out there, man. And yeah, and I occasionally try to fit a couple other in. I didn't do Gamma this year, but I did it the previous year, and that was amazing. But I want to expand out. I want to figure out a couple more.
Oh, we're bringing Hafiz back. So hold on one sec. There we go.
He's back.
So during that time, were you here?
Yeah, when I popped off, I could hear you, I could see you. I ended up just clicking on the camera button on the side here, and it re-brought me back up. But this is starting to feel like a real-life version of Whack-A-Mole.
So that's exactly that was my experience, and that was also what brought me back. But I wasn't sure if I was being superstitious, and it just coincided.
No, apparently.
When you were kicked out, what brought you back to this side?
A seance, and they made us cook on the salt.
We
burnt a bunch of candles. I don't know. That is very weird. No, I haven't been kicked out yet. Have I?
You left for a moment and then you came back at one point, but that was before we started.
Did I really?
Yeah, that was super quick. That was brief. So we have TK from Kins and Key Games there in the chat. I just want to say, it's been April Fool's all day, and I've been doing so well, but genuinely, he got me for just a second. I don't know if you guys saw the post. Did you see this post where the astronauts that are going to go around the moon are bringing galactic cruise in space? It's just like a couple of seconds. I'm like, holy, that's amazing.
I believed it.
I was so happy.
A friend of mine's really big into space, and they're just like, the live launch is on now, and it was right after I saw it, and I'm like, it is a pretty solid game, and if anyone is going to be into board games, it's going to be astronauts. Like, I could see them doing that, because if they brought records into space, they need to bring Galactic Cruise into space.
Yeah, no, it could have been a real headline, and I would have been happy for them. But well done, you got
me. That's great. April Fool's jokes are not my favorite. Not because I get caught, just because I find a lot of them so just like silly, but that one was a good one. I did see it. It didn't get me though, because it's like it is April Fools. And so part of the reason why April Fools doesn't work for me is because a good half of my friends and family are on the other side of the world. And
Uh,
I see it the day before, and they're already making April Fool's jokes in different languages, mind you, a day before, and it's like the Americans and Canadians never stand a chance. You don't stand a
no,
chance,
not at
right?
all.
There you go.
It's
So,
fascinating to know that that exists outside of our little hemisphere here. I had no clue. That's cool.
I
Okay.
I don't know where it started. I'm sure it's really an English thing. It sounds like an English thing to do, but and by English I mean British maybe, but maybe it's American, maybe it's I don't know, but
Hmm.
yes, yeah, that I saw things yesterday that is like that's not the way this person normal. Oh, right. There you go. So let's talk and let's welcome Galen to the show. Galen, how are you? You're good?
I'm good. I'm doing well. As I said when in the green room beforehand, this is a week into a Kickstarter, so a good style of frazzled, but a little tired, but I'm good, making it work.
Excellent.
Yeah, we almost
My
pulled him
kid's
in.
spring break snuck up on me too. That was this week, and I had just not calculated that in the plans of everything else. So it's been a wild ride of figuring out when to get into work and responding to everything that you have to with a live Kickstarter, and also being a 6-year-old's favorite play person. And
And
it's fun.
we tried to pull you in last week to be like, hey, you want to talk about the Kickstarter since it would have just gone live? And I'm kind of glad that we didn't spring that on you, because that would have been a lot.
Yeah,
He's like,
all
no,
good. I'm
thank
happy
you.
to be here. Yeah.
Right. And so, you have a lot on your plate, especially that whole being a 6 years old's favorite play person. That's
Mhm.
heavy responsibility. And yet you're here giving us your time.
You got it.
Maybe because it's past that 6 years old bedtime.
Yeah, we alternate bedtime, so this was not my night. So I'm able to
Okay,
be
good.
here. It actually has been slightly a rough one. I feel bad for my wife right now, but I think all is calm at this point. So
Yeah.
it's it's a wild amount of time that you have to go without reasonable amount of sleep.
Just hitting F5 until you die. It's all right. I don't even know if F5 does refresh anymore. I just feel that that's like an old thing. But so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Galen? I don't think we've ever talked about your origin story. Like, how did you get into gaming in general, design specifically, and kickstarting things very, very
Sure.
specifically?
Okay. Yeah. Happy to. I'll try not to spend too long on it. Gaming. I think. Some. I'm a Gen Xer. My childhood was largely in the '80s, high school in the '90s kind of thing, and so I played. Just the basic board games everybody played. I had a family very into cards, so a lot of poker and blackjack and all the variations there, and college was a lot of euchre and pinochle, and so I always liked that kind of games. But modern board gaming, I didn't know anything about until my wife, girlfriend at the time. I started dating her out here in Syracuse, and I got introduced to the larger world of modern board games. So about around 2010, 2011, and she's was a grad student out here. I was coming into grad school at SU, and she had a group of other grad students, and they all played games. And I got introduced to Dominion and Thunderstone, were the first two, and it absolutely just blew my mind. I had no idea anything like that existed, and I was sucked in. Deck building was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was a lot of fun, and we became. She was already a big gamer, but at that point I was sucked in. Started down that whole rabbit hole. Designing, it's interesting. Looking back, it seems so obvious now, but and I think this is true probably, I'd imagine, for other people too. You don't actually think about the fact that people design the games at first. Like that just never even really entered my brain, right? There's the game. It just exists. It's on the table and I'm playing it. And the first time I really had that realization or that thought about like, oh, somebody had to come up with this experience was with Mage Knight. Probably because Vlada's name is so huge on the front, partially, but also because, at least in my opinion, is such an absolutely amazing game, right? Like the intricacy, the depth of it. I kind of went way off the deep end when I jumped into that game, which I really just picked up based off of the cover and wanting to try out more of a. I was looking for something dungeon crawly. I told this story recently. It's really funny, actually. I was debating between that and Descent. I think it was Descent Second Edition or whatever. I was going back and forth between the boxes, and the reason I chose Mage Knight is because it said it had like a 2-hour playtime, which was less than Descent, which is an absolute joke, absolute, like like false advertising completely. So the reason I dove in was a trick, but it ended up working out. And in any case, I love that game. And I started thinking about design and the fact that these things are designed, and like, oh, I would love to make, a solo game experience like this that doesn't take this long. Like, again, it's fantastic for what it is, but I wanted to make something that was more just easier to get to the table and quicker, and takes up less space. And so I started just designing on old playing cards and post-it notes, and I was making this game, which someday I'll finish, called, well, I've kind of finished it, but someday I'll get it out in the world, called Infiltrators. And it was kind of like you'd say like a John Wick Die Hard style, where you're going through the floors and you have to fight your way to the boss kind of thing. And I spent a lot of time on that. And then two things happened. One, my 6-year-old was born. And coinciding with that, so that would have been January 2020. So I had, some paid family leave. I had some time at home. I had a lot of time. And then also at the point I went back to work in March, I was back for maybe 6 days before when the pandemic was like, everybody go back home, So I had a lot of interesting time on my hands, So there's a newborn, so it's not free time, but it's like, they don't do much, and we're dads, right? We're pretty useless for a little bit there. And, so I could design games while I was holding the kid, like that was, or, while I was staying up when I was on duty and everything like that. It was just, I could dive into it. And so I discovered at that point, again, looking back, why didn't I think about this? But I'd been designing in an absolute vacuum. I didn't think about the fact there were other people designing out there, or there might be help or anything like that. And so with time, I found, I actually started with the Board Game Design Lab podcast. That was the first thing that I found. And then that amazing community. And then I discovered Discord and Tabletop Simulator, which was like when that really blew up. And it was because everybody was there, right? That's where all the designers suddenly were. And I got into a number of groups. There's another thing that's funny. Again, other people do this. Maybe other people in my area do this. I didn't think about that either. So I'd been, I was playing with people around the world. I was part of a New Jersey group, which I'm still very good friends with all those guys. And I was connected with everybody. I had no idea about the designers in my own backyard, which Syracuse is pretty prolific. We have some really good designers out here and a really great group. I'm connected now.
Oh, he disappeared again.
Ironically, when he said I'm connected.
He's connected now. Now he's unconnected, and we're going to reconnect him. We're reconnecting him. Here we go. Let's see if we can get him. Right, there we go.
Clicking that camera thing is the key. I don't know if it times out or what. But yeah, so, that was, so I connected that whole world. And then the next thing that came up was I discovered the Game Crafter and Game Crafter contest. And I think I had entered Infiltrators, the John Wick style game, and got some feedback on that. But then there was a solo duo contest that Gabe from Board Game Design Lab had set it up. And that was when I had started designing Super Snipers. And I had this whole concept of, using polyomino pieces to stand in for the act of focusing in on a shot. And I came up with this head-to-head game that could be played this way, where you're kind of, locating people, and then you're saving innocent bystanders and taking people out. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna finish a game. I'm gonna. And this is the great thing about contests, right? You have to, especially the Game Crafter contest, right? You have to finish a game. It has to be. You have to have all the parts together. You have to have a page that makes sense. You learn so much just from doing that process. And one of the things which was just incredibly lucky or serendipitous was that in the board game design lab, my good friend Was Yang had put out a general post that, hey, I'm an artist and graphic designer, and this contest going on, and I'm willing to collaborate for free with anyone just to help out. And so I reached out, I took him up on that, and a couple things happened. One, he's just a phenomenal artist, and a great person to work with. What I had in my imagination about what it could look like is, nothing compared to what he was able to translate it as. Like, I love people like that. I love working with artists because honestly, they're just, even if I could do it, it wouldn't be as good. Like, they're better at translating my imagination than I am, and I love doing that part. Yeah. Thanks, TK. Yeah, man, you absolutely were. You saw the early versions on TTS, and yeah, so he collaborated with me. I got it ready for that contest, and at the same time, I entered the Cardboard Edison, which I learned about, and I ended up being one of the finalists in the Cardboard Edison, which was a really big deal. And it was so. Two things happened. One, I got that little thing in my head that said, maybe you know what you're doing, which is a dangerous thing, but it was there. Like, oh, maybe there's something to this. And then I also, with working with Watt, I started to, the way I put it is just fall in love with my own vision for the game. And so that was really, at that point I was hooked. And that was also kind of, segueing into how we got into publishing. That was also the part where, anybody who's part of the Board Game Design Lab or listen to the old podcasts, a lot of it's about self-publishing, right? Like, it's just I also, from there, I got into some of the more design-oriented podcasts like Ludology and things like that. And I was absolutely interested in that too, but I was all the time hearing about self-publishing and Kickstarting and, doing that versus pitching. And again, one of those, dangerous ideas that comes into your head, which is how hard could it be, right? Like, how hard could it be to do a Kickstarter?
Little did you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you sweet summer child, right?
Yep. But, I'm glad I'm glad I did. So I decided, hey, let's do this. Let's create, my vision for the game. I believed in it. It is a good game. I was very excited about it. And so in 2022, that fall, I launched a Kickstarter for that, which did fund. I learned a lot from it. I did keep a blog during those times, which a lot of people have found helpful. I think I joke it's kind of a blog about the things not to do partially, but I really that's a little self-depreciating. I think there were some things I did right, but I think the real utility, or at least like the niche I found at that point, was I think there was a lot of stuff out there, Jamie Stegmaier's blogs and a lot of other people's. There's some great stuff about crowdfunding, but I feel like it was all from the benefit of experience, right? It was all, this is what I did, and which there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. That's a useful thing. And I was writing this concurrently with it happening. These are the real numbers. These are the things I see. These are the things I'm investing money in. These are the things I'm getting back from that money. This is the thing I totally forgot about. Holy cow. And so it was all like very in the moment. And I actually, I did it again this time, and Hafiz, I actually recommend it too. Before you do the launch day, read the one I wrote about the day of launch, because it is so real. It is so real. On my list. Yeah. Those emotions, it's crazy.
It's pretty funny. I think that there are some people who love like the videos that people make. There's some people who really like the blog style posts, and they're very helpful for people who are just looking to connect, and not like in real time, but I mean like just be seen and like find somebody else who's walked before them down that path. Because Jay and I wrote our blog that I don't even know if it's really truly up anymore, just because I don't really do anything with it. And I had somebody just 2 days ago say, when I first started designing, that blog just guided me through everything. It's like, wow, it's got a a longer reach than you think. So keep on doing that kind of stuff, and I think it's really helpful for people to who want to do something to kind of understand the process and even the pitfalls, the do's and the don'ts of how you've gone before you and done the thing right. How do we do the
Mhm.
thing? Because so many people, due to the accessibility of things like Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms, have really do have a way to do the bigger thing, which is get a game out, but don't know the nitty gritty steps of all the other things, and would do well to like learn from the mistakes sometimes of more experienced people or the successes. Right, learn from both. It's all good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And assume you don't know what you don't know. So seek it out of it. There's, yeah.
Now, you went
Absolutely.
from designing and then self-publishing your own game, and it seems like you got a good taste for it. Now you're publishing. You've put out, this is your third Kickstarter,
Mm-hmm.
but about 8 games later, because your first Tin Mint series had 4 games, and this one has 4 games.
Yep. Yeah. 4 games plus 4 expansions, 2 for the first series and 2 for
Mm.
this. So yeah, I'm multiplying, growing. Yeah. So after Super Snipers, one of those things where the thought process of, you've all heard it a lot, and I agree with it at this point. You should become a publisher to be a publisher, to start a business, not to create your game, and whatever. Many of us don't listen to that. And I was one of them. It was all about the game at first, but then I found out myself on the other side of it. Like, okay, I've started a business and I'm committed to moving the rest of these 1,500 copies that I made and published, and let's see. For so long, at this point, I'm committed. At this point, it's real. It's, the third Kickstarter is doing very well. I am a publisher. I fully wear that. But I think for the longest time, it was just like, well, let's just see what's around the next corner. Let's keep pursuing this, and one of those pieces was, so when I went to that second Kickstarter, I certainly could have designed all the games. Well, quickly, I had this idea that once I decided on Mint Tins, I had to figure out how to make that work in a crowdfunding format, which is not easy. So mostly around advertising, right? Like, because when you've got whatever, it's a $16 MSRP right now, but during the Kickstarter I was doing like 4 for 40 or whatever. So when you're doing something that low, you can't, the amount it's going to cost you, $3, $5, $7 to get the person to your page to buy. It's just, you're making nothing at that point. You're losing profit. And so, my solution to that, which ended up being a really good solution, was having a group of games. And so you come in the door at, hey, I can get this $10 or $12 game, and then you leave with all 4, which is what most people did at the end of the day. And so, knowing I was going to do 4, I had 2 really strong ones. And my thought process was, well, I could spend another year designing and developing 2 more, or I've got these, great community out here. Let's see. Let's see what's around this corner. Let's see what it's like to publish. And so I had, for that first one, I had some groups that I was already playing, and I had a lot of, their designers, and kind of just open it up within the little world that I knew, and got some great submissions. So, Bird in Arizona from Robin David, and then Mint Tin Monster Mashup from Chris Baki were the 2 that weren't mine there. And Dice Clash is actually a co-design. I could talk about that as well. But I opened it up for submissions. These were people I play tested with. I already knew. They're professionals, so they're really easy to work with, and I had the opportunity to, do what you do, Sen, which is develop and learn, the intricacies of that world, and find out that I really love it. I was a bit surprised by that. I wasn't sure. There's certainly something to, like, Galen's games being, my own designs. I do love my own stuff. I love getting it out there, and I love working on it. But it is really fun to bring somebody else's idea to the point of a really viable product that succeeds. I feel so good for them and for myself when that happens too. Like that's just a joy to see that happen and know the role I kind of help play in that. So I did that, and then I opened up submissions to the wider world for this next one, which is where I got got the opportunity again to kind of work with some people that I didn't know on a personal level, but was doing the whole looking at sell sheets and videos and playing the games and having to make that hard decision of what I wanted to move forward on. And again, I kind of found I like it. It's similar to something that happened in my normal day job as a therapist. I love doing therapy, but then at some point you take on students, and I never expected to enjoy that, and I love it. Like sometimes that you just grow into these areas.
Yeah, that's great. Coming back to the actual mint tins, the MOQs on those, the minimum order quantity, is also quite higher than, say, a regular box. Is that correct? So that also then plays into having multiple games in a collection?
Yeah, so a couple things towards that. I mean, you can you can still find manufacturers that'll do an MOQ of 500, but so what I've done. So anybody else who feel free to copy if you want to try this.
And, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, no, and one of the things I ended up doing, which was great, was so the mint tin games, they're all very different, but there's a lot of shared components, right? They all have the same mint tin. They're all on PVC cards. There's mint tin size cards, there's mini size cards, and there's square size cards. And because there's so much shared components, my pitch when I would talk to the manufacturers would be, I'm making, for the first one I did 2,000 each game. So 8,000, but that's 8,000 total games. I'm doing 4 games. I'm doing 2,000 of each. Since there's so many shared things, can I get the cost as if not as if, because I'm printing 8,000. Can I get the cost at that as opposed to each game at 2,000? And that made a huge difference in the manufacturing price. And so that ended up working out really well. And more so with how many more I'm doing this time around. So yeah, on the publisher side of things, a lot of upsides to mint tins, some downsides for sure too. But that's one piece. Doing 4 games, 2,000 each, and then also stepping out after 2 Kickstarters, and now I have 5. I have 5 games instead of 2 after all that effort. That's a big deal too.
Can you tell us a bit more about? Oh, sorry, Sen, you were going to say.
No, you go ahead. No.
I'm really intrigued by this idea of mint tin games, because like your first game is a 2-player game. It's not a massive game, but it's also it's a regular sized game. Mint tins, you tend to picture them quite small, very portable. As you mentioned, very unique and minimal components. What led to that shift towards? I know you mentioned the contest, but like specifically mint tins.
Yeah, I think. First, it was playing some. I have a number of favorites that I'd run across over the years. I'm a pretty big solo gamer. I like doing that a lot, and so I ran into, what is it, Grey Gnome Games, Jason Glover's whole thing with the Game Crafter. He does gates and so. I ran into that, and then one of my absolute favorite games ever, Doom Machine by Nathan Meunier, which is just an amazing mint tin game. And so I started having these kind of around the house, and I'm playing with them, and I'm enjoying them. And as a designer, you know how it works, right? Like as soon as you see something you like, or you hear about something you like on a podcast, your brain starts designing your version of it. And so I started, thinking within those restrictions. And I think the combination of, first of all, coming up with a couple of ideas that I thought would be really good for mint tin games. So my one game, Heritage Farms, I accidentally designed as an 18-card game, which is really funny. It just like at one point I noticed, it isn't any longer, but at one point I noticed like, oh, this is an 18-card game. This could, but it can't be button shy because it has components, but I could, fit it in something smaller. Oh, this could be a mint tin game. So that was the first one I really started thinking about as a mint tin game. I think that, so getting fascinated with the idea. And once I started doing it, I recommend everybody try it out. I think the restrictions are like deliciously, inspiring. I think it's so helpful. So, with Super Snipers, and again, I'm very proud of that game. I love that game. I think it's a great game. But I went through that whole thing of like the bounds were my imagination and how much money I wanted to spend, right? Like, if I wanted to make it, I want those dual layer boards. I want something bigger. If I want to do this, how big's the box going to be? Okay, well, if we want to, add this insert, maybe it's got to go to here. And there was nothing, there was no, it was just me. There was no voice of reason. There was nobody stopping me from making it bigger. And I'm not saying I made any mistakes with that, but with Min 10s, they're quite literally things that don't fit in. And so that is such a nice thing in the ability to kind of like stop the brain from spinning out on things and just say, nope, this is the limit on the cards. Like, okay, if you want to use meeples here, this is how many dice you have room for now, and et cetera. And like, if you really want the feel of, a 12 millimeter die, well, you're going to need less of them. And so I think that restriction was really fun to work around. And then the other piece was just boothing at conventions and having the experience that anybody who's had a bigger box game or even a regular size box game or anything in that range of 45, 50 and up, the decision making process of your customers, right? So people come by, they get very excited, but they go through this whole thing like, okay, well, first there's the budget, and then the other piece is, well, I'm flying back or I'm driving back. I have so much room in my luggage. These are the purchases I made today. Maybe I'll be back Sunday, and it sold well. But there was always that kind of like, it was a harder sell. There was that whole kind of thought process that went to it. And with Min 10 games, I'm like, oh, like, okay, first of all, impulse buy point. And also if you have a pocket, you're good. Like that that objection is completely gone. And it's true. They do amazingly well at conventions. And so I was really excited about that. And I was really kind of thinking that far forward with it. And what, going backwards as I pursued it, I realized just how many other benefits there were in terms of, the manufacturing, the freight, the storage. I've got a larger vehicle now, but for a while I had a Prius, and I could fit my whole convention booth in a Prius, right? Like that's not having to ship it to the convention center. There's definitely, it's a nice place to be. It's not what I want to do, but Min 10s are pretty sweet.
Yeah, because I mean, you basically the absolute heaviest it's going to be, right? The absolute size it's going to be, and you can account for all of that. Like, I bet you if you wanted to do like a wandering minstrel style, because you played a band, right? You want to do like a wandering minstrel style Min 10 booth on your back, like in some apothecary of old, you could do that.
I love it.
And you could probably have like 30 copies of each game on your back and load it in there, and like they could like shoot out and stuff. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I gotta get it like a bandolier of Min 10 games. That sounds
yes.
amazing.
Do it. Please do it. And then you need like Chewbacca's bolt caster because he's like the most famous bandolier. Yes,
that's awesome.
I didn't even. That was not even planned to everybody, but that's just how good it is here in Maple Syrup Land, where we're a bunch of huge nerds and we know people like nerdy things. So yeah, the logistics of shipping and handling that particular size, and the constraint, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about today, which is designing to constraints, which I think Min 10s immediately put you in that mode of like, I can't do more than what this holds, right? I can't have a card or a board that is larger than this in one piece. So what are some creative things that you have done or that the other designers that you're working with have done within the Min 10 constraint that you think is like, that is amazing? And I'm so glad I'm publishing these things.
Yeah, I got you. Let me think about that. Because yes, you do have to be. So, one of the things I'd say, both them and also in the development cycle, there's, you really have to optimize your use of each component. So cards have two sides, and so often you have games that have card backs, and those are necessary for various reasons, and they are not necessary for the majority of my games. And so we use both sides, right? Like, there's a ability to use both sides of cards for whatever they are quite often. That's a big one. In the game I'm developing, the Mint Mechs that I'm doing, I'm using 4 Mint Tin size cards that piece together to create the map. So you can kind of take up more table space when you're out there, and that's always a great thing for table presence, and also to be able to have something going on, to actually have a map area, because one of the things that's missing from a Mint Tin quite often is the board of the board game, right? But you can create that with the cards themselves. Let's see. Hard drive does some neat stuff, I think, with that. Again, just being smart about using two sides of the cards. So in this one, this is a futuristic, like Tron style racer, where you're racing to hack the mainframe. And so we have these Mint Tin cards that are in 2 columns of 8 put together to make one roadway. And as players leave, the robot, as they abandon a row, it flips over and it goes to the top, and so it kind of evolves the race course. This isn't brand new. This is something I think Thunder Road Vendetta might do as well, but it really it creates one of the things I think is very difficult to do in this amount of size, which is that variability piece, because they're double-sided, and because they can be shuffled, and because they can be laid out in any order, and then they also flip as you go and evolve the race course. There's a massive amount of variability with just those 16 cards that fit in there. So those are some that pop to mind right now. I think, one of the other things I just quickly say about the whole designing to constraints too is there's the constraint of size, but there's also the constraint of, I guess, experience is the best way I would put it, or people's natural instinct about what this game is going to do, right? Because I think there's the thing with two things I'll say. One, somebody sees a game like this, they see a Mint Tin, right, and the immediate thought process is, oh, I'm going to be able to open this up and I'm going to be able to get to playing this pretty quickly. I think you defy that expectation at your peril a little bit. You could design a more complex game, and if your audience knows you well enough, fantastic. But I think in terms of this sitting on a shelf somewhere, and that little bit of space you get to talk about your game on the back, I think you have to have an experience that is accessible and not overwrought, right? Like it should be as easy as they expect it to be. The other thing I found, is that because of where people tend to play these games, this is, yes, you can play on your kitchen table, but people are also playing at restaurants and smaller tables and things like that. And because of the size of the cards, games that involve a lot of flipping, I won't do it. I don't think it's fun. I think it's frustrating, right? That works with bigger cards, but with these little cards, if you're constantly having, to kind of dig under there or slide tiles around on a space, it just gets too messy, and it's just too hard for people with maybe a little less fine motor skills than some of us.
What would you say is the cleverest thing that you've seen someone incorporate into a Mint Tin game?
It's the cleverest thing I've seen incorporated. Looking over
you just looked at it and you're like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't know that anything would be perfectly specific to the Mint Tin. I wish I had a better answer to that. I think probably, the whole Mint Tin Monster Mashup has the whole thing where you're so the way that game works, in terms of you're creating monsters and you're fighting them in an arena, and it has this really cool thing. So again, using the fronts and the backs, every card is a creature, but it has its front on one side and it has its back on the other, so you can combine any front and any back. And then they also have the heads have an if conditional, and the backs have a then power. And so you're kind of creating your monster, both based on like what sound looks cool, what kind of stats it's going to have, but also you're creating your own power there. So I really like that use of space, so that a small deck of 24 cards has just a ridiculous amount of possibilities there.
That is very cool.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the other thing that always wows me about Mint 10 games and other small factor games like the Button Shy line, is that you get like so much game out of so little in terms of components, and it's usually like a graphic design masterpiece to fit all that information and communicate it clearly in so little space that I think there's a lot to say about that kind of almost miniaturization and well, just basically you got limited surface area to communicate your ideas, right? And the fact that you can communicate a workable game within the area of like, I don't know, like what's the cubic area inside of a mint tin? Do you know?
I'd have to look it up for you, but I'm not sure. It's not a lot. I'll tell you that. I can
exactly.
Tell you, like, the number of components that'll fit in there, but I'm not sure what the actual.
How many cards could you fit in there that are mint tin sized if you were to stuff it full of cards?
This is always interesting, right? So if it's nothing but cards, at least in the size of the mint tins I do, it's around 54. You can fit quite the stack. You of course want a rule book in there, so maybe cut it down to 50, and then but that's no dice, that's nothing else, that's a pure card game. So what's interesting is, so a game like Mint Tin Monster Mashup, we've got about, I think, 12 Mint Tin size cards, and then the creature cards are the mini size cards, which means that when I'll see if I can hold it up, that leaves space around the edges to put in cubes and dice. And now you can, by mixing up the style of cards that go in there, or, Verdant Arizona uses the square cards, there's 40 of those in there. And then we only need regular mint size cards. We only need kind of reference in there. And then you have room for all the other tokens and little truck meeple and things like that. So there's really interesting ways to build space in there. I'll tell a quick story about screwing this up if you want to hear it.
Yeah, of course.
So Dice Clash, which is one of my favorites. I really love that game. So that one, there's 6 different warriors, which comes with a warrior and a battle card. So you got 12 cards right there. And then you've got 2 more Automa, so there's 4 more. So you're at 16 cards. And then you've got the rule book, and then you have 18 D6s that I fit in here. Okay.
Oh,
and so what happened is that was the game. And, I made the prototypes at the Game Crafter, and all was well. And as the Kickstarter went on, the idea, not just the Kickstarter, but also, from my licensing agents, they're like, oh, these people really like it, but they really want a dice screen in there too. I'm like, you want me to fit a dice screen in there? But the idea kind of started to stick with me a little bit. And I said, okay, well, we're going to add the dice screens, right? And so I add the dice screens to it, and I get the samples from my manufacturer, and they come in, and I open up Dice Clash, and it only has 1 dice screen in it, okay? Which, no big deal. That's what you get samples for, right? You find the things you got to correct, you get your list. Stupid me, I never checked if putting another one in there, everything would still fit. I just said, you forgot a dice screen. No. So this is a kind of ridiculous story. So I said, you got to put another one in there, not thinking about it. And then I hear from them, they send me this little video, and they're like, yeah, these aren't staying shut right now, And so lesson number 1 for anybody doing this, Hafiz, when you're into, like, don't rush. Don't ever feel under pressure. Take your time making all your decisions and think them through. Okay. So I got very lucky here ultimately, but it's pretty ridiculous. So they said, solution, we could tape these shut. And I said, I don't love that it doesn't all fit in there, but the dice screens were kind of like a last minute gift that I added, honestly, after the Kickstarter closed. So I'm just gonna, tell my backers, hey, sorry about this tape, and you're gonna have to keep the dice screens somewhere else, but they're a gift anyways. Terrible decision, but that was my decision at the time. Go ahead, let's. I'm already behind my schedule. Let's get these out of here. And so, freight had gotten arranged, and things were out on the boat, And I get an email from my freight forwarder that said, the manufacturer in China has turned the boat around, has had us turn around the boat from that was heading to the US at their own expense. We don't know anything else. And it's China, so I can't get a answer for 12 hours and like till the next day anyways. And so I hear back from them and they said, we still had some of these in the factory, and they were just popping open. They were just like the tape skipping, and they're popping open. And we thought this was a big enough deal to turn it around. Absolutely, that's the right choice. And so I ended up having to change. They were 12 millimeter dice. I had to change them to 10 millimeter dice to make them work. Everything fits now. Everything works. But I had to replace 18 D6s in 2,000 games, right? So, it's an expense. It's something that I didn't plan on. And the ones that were going over to Spiral Galaxy in the UK had already gone. So I actually had to ship the dice over there and then pay them to replace them in all the games that were over there too. So it was like, but it would have been so much worse if they made it over here. And that was the problem. That would have been horrible. So yeah, take your time. Take your time.
Yeah. Patience it is. There's so much to learn, right? Yeah, it's definitely virtue. So in terms of your way forward, do you think that you're going to break your own rules and do games that are outside of the size of a mint tin, or are you like sticking to the bit? You've committed. This is all it's going to be forever and ever. Amen. Or might you start another line, another company that maybe does like, I don't know, some other type of tin, coffee, Danish cookie tin games. They're all games about finding your mom's sewing supplies. I don't know.
So it's a great question. Definitely not starting another company. Yeah, you can take that to the bank. No more companies. But I'm definitely doing more of this. This is working, and this Kickstarter is going so well. This has been going very well. In terms of breaking the rules, I'm doing a little bit of that this time around. I'm pushing some edges in different ways. So, so far, not only have they been mint tins, they've been 2-player mint tins with solo modes, learn them in 5 minutes, play them in 20 minutes. Lots of different experiences, but that has been kind of the rule. And the last time, and I also highly recommend this to anybody who does a Kickstarter, pull your audience, see what they want, see where they want you to go, see where the people who are buying your games are interested in what's going to happen. Right. And so,
ostensibly that's the reason for Kickstarter.
Yeah. But not everybody does that. Exactly.
It's not the reason why other people use Kickstarter anymore. Right. So
no,
when you're small and indie, you can do that.
Absolutely. And, and so I asked, kind of, if I were to stretch outside of those rules, the 1 to 2 players, learn 5 minutes, play in 20 minutes kind of thing, what would people like to see? And there was, player counts was one of the things, dedicated solo games, but heavier games was one of them. So, this time around, so I've got, my design of the bunch is breaking the rules a little bit. So Mint Max is definitely a bit more of like, it's more like a 15-minute learn and more like a 30 to 45-minute game. So there's like a little bit more heaviness with this, but it's awesome, and I'm excited about it, and we'll see how it does. And so I've got some games already signed and in development that are going to be larger player counts, because I like having the variety. I had a conversation with the crowdfunding nerds about that they talked about a lot of times when there's sets. There's a thematic tie-in, or the tie-in is something other than just the form factor, and I get that, and also at the same time I find that too restricting, and again, thinking a little forward to the conventions and the way things sell, I love being able to have anybody step up and something interests you, right? Maybe you don't love mechs, but that football game, 100%, that hand that over, or vice versa. I don't care about soccer. Give me the mechs. So I'm definitely interested in, kind of still working within the mint tin format, but opening up what the experiences are. One of the things I'm hearing, I hear suggested so often from backers, and it intrigues me a lot, is this idea. People ask a lot, oh, hey, does this game or any of these games, like if my friend and I have a copy, can they combine
and
work together? So I hear that a lot. I'm like, oh, that's really no. but it's a great idea, you know. So, you know, if I'm opening up for submissions again, that may be the thing that is one of the things I put out there. Like, let's see what people can do with this.
Yeah, we did that with Akrotiri, right?
Oh, okay,
Akrotiri, yeah, Akrotiri was originally a 5-player game, and the story behind it is that the original publisher liked the game so much that she's like, I don't want to wait to play my turn. I just want to do my turn. So we're cutting this to a 2-player game. And Jay and I were kind of like, well, it's supposed to be a 5-player game. But in the end, it was the right decision, to be completely honest. It like made the game stand out because there were very few 2-player games of its level of like complexity in the field at the time. And then later when they did like the third or fourth reprint, they're like, and now here's the rules to mash it together, because we printed out this new edition in like purple and orange instead of black and white. So now you can just merge all the two sets together for a 4-player game.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so that kind of thing can and that's actually where my head was going when I was thinking about what would I do with a mid-tin game.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
feel free to pitch me. Yeah.
there you go. I will pitch a game to you. The other thing that I wanted to ask about with these mid-tin games is, or maybe more of a comment than a question. I hate those people, by the way. If I'm ever a moderator at a panel and you come up and say, this is more of a comment than a question, I'm going to ask you to sit down. Because this is not your time to pontificate.
But this is your show, so go ahead.
So what I loved hearing, and this is a problem that, you know, Jay at Off the Page Games will not have anymore because we've designed some smaller things, is that when all the games you have, TK, who's listening, hopefully, are like in the hundreds of dollars to buy, and everybody has already bought all the things from you, and that's all you produce, they're going to walk by your booth. They may say, hey, I love your game, but they can't shell out any money for you because even as much as they love you as a company, there's nothing they can buy. And so when you have a lot of smaller product, that person who spent, you know, I don't know, $15, $20 last year can spend $15, $20 next year, can spend $15, $20 a year after. And then we'll say, oh, I like all 3 games. I'm just going to buy. Now I'm in for all the Kickstarters and things like that. And it's been difficult in some cases where if you don't have that small priced SKU, that especially when it's not like, this is a set of meeples. Yeah, but what game does it go to? A game you can't afford. Oh, well, I guess I can't buy that either. So I think it really just behoove publishers to think about like all of the different strata. There's probably a technical term for this, but all the price points that you have product at, and mint tins fall within a certain product point that is easily purchasable in multiple units, right? When all you have is $100 plus games, there's not going to be very many people who buy every single game at your booth. When you have a bunch of mint tin games and you're able to bundle them and say, but 3 for the price of, you know, if it's like, I don't know what the price is, but let's say it's $20 each or 3 for 50. Now you've got like a deal, right? So I think that's the way that you can really get people to start opening up their wallets. It's one of the factors that a lot of people use, you know, just, you know, psychologically. I say that word 900 times a day, Galen, and I just couldn't pronounce it. Psychologically speaking, when somebody opens their wallet and if they can pay for it with a single bill, they're more likely to buy the thing. That is just, you know, in analysis, that's what we find, right? And a lot of people don't carry $50 bills with them. Now, again, a lot of people don't carry money at all, but then they're starting to think of each dollar and cent as they purchase things with their plastic, right? Or tapping their phone or whatever. So having small price points is not a bad thing at all. You know, I'm sure TK can speak to that as well. Galactic Cruise is awesome, but it is huge. It's a huge game, and it's you know, it's well deserved. It needs to be huge, but I wonder if there's movement in Kinson Games to make smaller things as well. so that they have other things to attract people to the booth, right? When all your product is one exact thing, then it gets very difficult to generate the hype every year for the same thing
Absolutely.
over and over again.
It is interesting.
Cool.
This last PAX, I still had Super Snipers for sale, limited amounts, and it sold very well. It does very well. So I did have a bigger game, but with the mint tins, it was crazy. They were just going hand over fist, and you get that high of like, oh my god, I'm doing it. Everything's happening, which is wonderful. But at the end of the day, selling all those $16 games was kind of the equivalent of the pace I had been selling the $45 game in terms of what I was actually making, or somewhat near it. That it's kind of funny that I don't know, it feels good. It feels good to move that much, but yeah, you have to move a lot more to hit those same markers.
Yeah. I think if you have a certain personality type, yeah. I know that like Michael Mendez, who used to run Tasty Minstrel Games, like will stand by this belief that if he can teach you a game in 30 seconds or a minute, he can sell that game to you faster than maybe mechanically better game that you have to invest more time in. Like the cost that the player has to sink into it, the more time they have to sink into it, the better it has to be for them to want to buy it, right? And so he found that games like Martian Dice, he could sell hundreds of those in a day at a con, but to sell a copy of Belfort or what are some other ones, Yokohama or anything like that, he'd actually have to invest and commit time to it. And space too, right?
Yeah,
it's a big presence of a board and meatballs on the table and cards and all these things to make people say that's what it looks like. Whereas with a mint tin game, it's like, badunk, you can do it like on one of those cocktail tables, and there's the game.
2 of them on a cocktail table, and I have the playmats too, right? They're both
there you go.
set up there, and
Well, and I mean that's the thing. If you have accessories, that's another thing you can start selling. So that's cool.
Quick thing on the accessories, I do the playmats double-sided too. So I pair the games in kind of bundles, like the battle bundle, or the strategy bundle, and so one game plays on one side, but if you buy the mat, well, on the other side, you can also have this game. You may as well buy this game too, and it works so well.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing, because again, that's you're playing into the sunk cost, right? It's like, well, you've already spent $15 on this thing, and you're not, you might as well get this other game that fits with this thing, right?
Yep.
And you can have a bundle. Now you have the playmat, the 2 mint tins that fit with this mat, and you've got a really nice
dice
product.
trays.
Yeah, right. Now, are those mini dice trays things that you've sourced from somewhere else, or did you have them pre-made?
Yeah, I made them.
Because they're
Galen's games, and they lay
branded.
Flat. I do that, and I do the other thing I do is you got to sell people like the case that holds 6 of them in there, and
nice.
So got some accessories too.
Did you design that case specifically to hold 6 mint tins?
Correct.
Or did you just happen to find one?
No, that was I worked with
custom?
a manufacturer to have it custom made so that it worked with the mint tins. It works just fine for anything made from the Game Crafter too, if anybody cares. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, and so it's been going good. I had somebody ask if I was going to make one that will fit like all 12 of them, and I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
Like in a vertical column,
or like a suitcase. Like I don't
know. Make it like a Pez dispenser.
Oh, yeah!
Wow. They're actually Pez shaped, but just big Pez. Yeah. And you go, and you have a Galen head on top. Boop, boop,
oh my god, that'd be amazing.
That'd be so awesome. Well, I mean, even if you don't make one for customers, you should definitely make one for your booth.
Right?
No, I'm actually serious, because that would get me to buy it. It's like, oh my god, that's amazing. Can you spit you get like, I don't know, $2 off if you buy this random game out of Galen's head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just pack the Pez dispenser. You pay your money. Yeah. What do you getting out of it?
Yeah. Like just for the thrill of the Pez dispenser.
These are actual Altoids. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, that's what they were.
One of them is just filled with like tons of discarded Pez.
Yeah, they're curiously strong. It'd be weird to have Altoids in a Pez dispenser. That'd be like brand confusion. I don't know if I'd go for one. But if you ever do want to build that, uh, give David Killing. He works with Jay and I on lots of things. He's the guy who made. I don't know if you've ever seen Jay's booth, the like magnetic version of Core Discovery and the giant tower that we drop things down for Harrow County. So he made all of those.
That's so cool.
Specifically for booth use, so they tear down and they set up fast and all that kind of thing. He's an industrial designer, so and then we make games together. He's the guy who I did the cats knocking things off of ledges with, and we're doing a whole bunch of games together. So he works with a bunch of people. It's fun.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, there's like the possibilities. He could make your backpack. He literally could make your backpack. That would be so funny. Yeah, and I am the kind of guy, like, if there's a bag for a thing, I will buy the bag. Because I like having my things separated. I'm not so bad that I have to separate all my foods, but I do eat my foods one at a time. Like if I have mashed potatoes and steak and vegetables, I will eat the mashed potatoes and eat all of it, and I'll eat the steak and eat all of it, and I'll eat the vegetables and eat all of it. I don't necessarily not like eating them together, but my brain just like seeing that section is gone. And so I think there's something about me and all of this that is,
it's a game designer
weird
brain.
and wonderful.
Yeah. You're getting your
compartmentalizing
VPs by finishing off that section of the plate. Or
I dominated that area of potatoes.
It is area control, but like food based, which could make for a really interesting game, actually.
Yeah, right.
With these cases, going to conventions too, I will pack all the games in those cases because they keep them safe.
Why not?
And then I unpack them and I sell the cases and I sell the games. And it's like, it's the best thing in the world. Like, it just takes up so much less space than carrying them separately.
Yeah. Empty cases is empty air, dead air. Yep, and the other thing that's kind of funny from a game design perspective too. Like, I love games where cleaning up the game is part of the game.
Yeah. No, that's solid design.
That's like the reverse of that. So that's solid design too, man. Good stuff. So, hey, we're hitting that hour, and I actually have to write an assignment tomorrow about writing anecdotal records. Galen, what's your thought on writing anecdotal records?
Less is more, I guess. That's certainly what I teach people.
I just have to stop them from writing analysis.
Yeah,
they all want to write analysis in the anecdotal records. Like, no, just tell me what did you see? What did you hear? Don't tell me that you think, oh, that's representative of the students' fine motor skills. It's like, I don't want to know. Analysis is a totally different part. Anyways, two
we're on the same page there. Yes.
Walking through the lab. So what's next for you?
After this
Kickstarter wraps up.
Yeah, no, I'm going to get through this Kickstarter. So it's going till April 23rd. It is absolutely crushing it right now. I'm hoping this time around to get more interest in licensing, see where that can go. Got myself on Amazon. So yeah, it's just going through that whole process of getting them manufactured and delivered. And, at some point, like I said, I'll open back up for submissions and think about what's next. But yeah, I just feel in the middle of it right now, so I'm excited to get those done. Yeah, I'm doing the second printing of the first series too. I've sold through those, so that's been quick and good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Could you do Super Snipers in 2 mint tins?
I think so. One of my local designers had shown me that how many polyominoes of the size I already use actually can fit in one of those mint tins, and so that's. There's something. It's I need to get some more time to work on it, but yeah, that's something I eventually want to do. I do want to return to Super Snipers. I have expansion content to go, and I've actually designed, an MVP of a kind of a Super Snipers 2, but it's more of a hacking theme thing that takes things in a different direction. That is a beautiful thing in a bigger game, and I don't know. I just got to make the time for it. It's. I want it to happen. I want to take another stab at everything now that I've got kind of a bigger audience and more experience and everything.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, everybody. Thanks to the people watching, TK, Deadpan, everybody out there. Let's see what else is going on. We have Blue Sky. So you can chat with me on Blue Sky at Senfeng Lim. Where are you there, Hafiz?
Just on Instagram. So at Print Drink Games on Instagram.
And Galen, people can go to www.galensgames.com.
Yep.
And you're also on Blue Sky and things like that as well,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not super active on Blue Sky, but Instagram for sure and Facebook. Yeah, I try.
Okay.
I just
It's a lot.
it's a
It's a
lot.
lot, man. I get it. You have a 6-year-old. I get
Yeah.
it. I
Yep.
get it. And you can find us collectively, Hafiz and myself, at Maple Syrup on all the things. Patreon.com/Maple Syrup if you want to help us keep the lights on here. And Galen, we might have forgot to tell you. I think Hafiz told you an email, but you are responsible for this, so you have to give a piece of final advice.
Oh, right. That's right. You did say
That
that in the
thing.
email. Yeah.
Yes. Got him. He's on the hook. He's on the hook.
Yeah. I guess I'll consider my audience, designers, and find the restrictions. Try a mint-in game. Try a contest. Try to put some walls around yourself and see how creative it makes you. I really think it's such a key to getting the best work out of yourself. You need those walls. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Sometimes less is more, or less
Yeah.
makes more. Hafiz, who's coming up next week?
We actually have JT Smith from the Game Crafter. So,
speaking of Game Crafter things.
Yeah, exactly. So we're actually going to talk to him a little bit about some of the contests on the Game Crafter, components to a whole bunch of really cool stuff to help designers create things like possible submissions to your next Mint series.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. And are there any shout outs that you have there, Hafiz?
Not at the moment. I mean, everyone who's watching, huge shout outs. You're awesome. Actually, I was chatting with my illustrator, who's also Galen's illustrator. So, Galen, Leo says hey.
Hey, awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for that hookup. He did killer job on
Kickbox.
He's
phenomenal.
Yeah. Excellent. I like that when people link up together and find good people to work with. That's excellent. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Maple Syrup in the house. Bye.
That's right. Bye.